Ooh, welcome back to the Boneyard Podcast, everybody. This is your host, Jared Sheffield, along with my good friend
Artemis Brower.
We're coming to you this week with episode 256. 256 of the Boneyard Podcast. Artie.
Yeah.
How we doing, brother?
We are okay. We are okay. We could be better. Could be a lot better. We're okay. Still breathing. Still alive. Still kicking. Still got a job, I guess. We're okay.
Man, it sounds like you're down bad, dude.
No. I'm not down that bad. I'm great. Life is great. For me, life is great.
I was about to say, you just got married. You got to.
Sports-wise, it could be a lot better. No, personally, life is phenomenal. But
I mean, sports-wise, hey, at least you're not me.
I will say though, my Bears looked good yesterday. They put the icing on top of a shit cake. So.
Shout out to Caleb Williams hooking a boy up and leading him to a fantasy win this week.
Them boys who whipped up on them boys. Now your Falcons,
I don't know what the hell that was.
I have no idea what kind of performance that was they had in Charlotte yesterday.
That was absolutely despicable.
I'm happy we didn't go to that game.
I am if I had to go to ECU BYU, see what I saw on Saturday night, drive 3 hours home, get up the next morning and drive an hour and a half down to Charlotte and then watch that, I would have I might have ended it. I might have just done it all.
Yeah.
That would have been the worst possible scenario for your boy. That would have been bad. And we were talking about going to that game.
Yeah, and that's all. Man,
as a Falcons fan, I was talking about going to that game.
I mean, I would have been there just laughing at you. It wouldn't have made me feel no type of way at all.
I would have. The 7 Panthers fans that are actual Panthers fans would have been giving it to me as I left the bank.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, whatever. What are you gonna do about it? Artie, episode 256.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a 56 for me?
You know, I was trying to find somebody off the wall. I swear I was trying to find something unique, but there's only 156. I really couldn't find nobody of note. I don't know if there's any like famous hockey players. Probably there's famous hockey players who are 56. I don't know. I know there's no like really good baseball players or any other sports players who are 56. So there's really only 156. That's LT. That's Lawrence Taylor. That's the greatest defensive player of all time. 10-time Pro Bowler, 10-time All-Pro, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie Player of the Year, NFL MVP, I believe in 1986. Which to win MVP as a defensive player, no matter what your position, is absurd. To be all-pro 10 times, not Pro Bowler, all-pro 10 times is absolutely absurd. So, yeah, LT, 56 for the week, the only 56. So, that's what I've got.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thought about going there, but I felt like
it's pure chalk. It's the chalk of chalk. I mean, I don't know.
And you say no baseball players wearing 56. There's a couple good ones, mostly pitchers. I don't know that there's one that you missed. That was he's not a Hall of Famer.
He was good,
but he was good. He's not in the Hall of Fame. No way.
Who's that one?
And I mean, this is a Chicago White Sox legend. Any guesses before I name it off?
Yeah, no one rings a bell when I think of 56.
You know, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove, and 2005 World Series champion, Mark Burley.
Wow, he wore 56?
His entire career.
Wow.
But that's not mine. That's not mine. Mine, Artie, and I had it pulled up here. Carolina Hurricanes legend. And I use that term loosely. Played 109 games with the Carolina Hurricanes. Most out of the 5 teams he played for. Played for Carolina, Toronto, Anaheim, Chicago, and Pittsburgh, even though he only played 1 game in Pittsburgh. Career, I mean, he was a career like 4th liner. Like he's a culture guy, right? Guy by the name of Tim Brent. He only wore the number 56, I believe, in his time in Chicago. So that was a total of 2 games. But he wore the number 56, wore the number 37 with the Carolina Hurricanes. Back in the 2011 and 12 season, 2012, 2013. Like I said, 109 games, 24 goals, 3 assists, or 12 goals, 27 assists. Was a minus 11 in his time with the Canes. Finished his career with, at least in the NHL, with the Carolina Hurricanes. So yeah, that's mine. Tim Brent. Like I said, 109 games with the Canes. He played on 5 different teams. 109 games with the Hurricanes. Less than 100 games elsewhere. So Carolina, the real ones know Tim Brent. If you try to talk to me about the Hurricanes and I ask you what was your opinion on Tim Brent and you can't tell me, I'm going to tell you you're not a real fan. You're one of these new bandwagon Carolina Hurricanes fans that have joined the bandwagon over the last 5 years. You didn't go through the shit with me. That's all I'm going to say.
That's fair.
All right. That's Artie. Episode 256. Proudly brought to you by Roback. I'm wearing my Roback right now. Josh, I saw they got some more sizes for the polo. So if you need a little bit bigger size, if you're a bigger boy like me and Josh, go run to roback.com, get you 20% off all Roback, and then it's on your first order. So 20% off your first order, roback.com. Use Boneyard 20. Boneyard 20. Once again, 20% off. All right, Artie. What a letdown was Saturday.
Yeah.
Just a complete letdown. And really, you can say what you want. I know BYU fans are saying, oh, we beat the crap out of ECU. On the scoreboard, yes. But ECU beat the crap out of itself and cost itself a win, or at least keeping it close. We don't take moral victories here on the Boneyard podcast, and there are none from this game.
Yeah. There's really nothing positive to take away from this game.
You had plenty of opportunities to at least keep it close and give you a shot late in the game, but you didn't execute. That was a top 15 defense, top 25 team, really top 25 team. Not when they came in, they weren't, but now they are. That came into Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. And they took advantage of all of your mistakes. And really the mistakes that you made were those mistakes in the 3 minutes going into halftime. Now that the first interception, we'll talk about it. First interception, purely on Caden Hauser. He pulled the ball down, scrambled, and then tried to force a play. I get it. It happens once. Okay. You're still in the ball game. You would have loved to at least come out of that tied 6-6. You throw the pick. All right. You get the ball back, but you that fumble I don't even know if you can really call it. I guess it's a muffed punt, a fumble. Dude got lit up. Pearson got lit up. Should have caught a fair catch. Just trying to do too much. You get the ball on the 1 yard line. On your 1 yard line. And then you throw it out of the end zone on a little hitch route. Cornerback is just reading the eyes the entire time. Jumps the route. Pick six. So now you're down 13-3 going into half when it could have easily been 10-6 ECU, 6-6 ECU, or tied going into half. You could have had either one of those, but instead you go into half down 10 to one of the best defenses in the country, and then you couldn't climb out of it. Is that the story of the game?
No. Yeah. I mean, the last 5-6 minutes of the second quarter was the absolute story of the game. That decided the game, right? You rarely ever see games decided in the first half. That game was decided in the first half by the way that first half ended. Like you just said, we are in a position to go up 10-6. We throw the interception, and I believe that was a second down play that Caden Howard threw that interception. So you
had it down to give.
You had it down to give. You got to be able to live to fight another day there, and I agree. That's completely on Caden. He knows that. He said that in the presser. That's nobody but him. And then the disaster that was to pick six. Worst case scenario is a safety, right? Like you have to, when you go out there, you have the 1 yard line. It's got to be, hey, look, the absolute worst case scenario is a safety. I'm much rather going to give up 2 than 7.
Right.
We can live with 2. We can come back from 2. You give up 7 here and lose all the momentum. You're already down 3 to go into the half with that. I mean, that's literally going into the half with that. That's essentially the game. That's essentially what, and then obviously, we'll talk about the fans and stuff like that later, but just the vibes, the mood, the air in the building just completely zapped, completely gone. And it was good vibes to start it. We had an experience that we had never experienced at ECU to start the game. And to be able to end the half like that, I mean, that's flags, self-inflicted wounds, bad pass defense in the second half, more so than in the first half, and then drop passes. To me, that was those 4 things was the absolute story of the game. So
you just didn't execute. Josh.
My story of the game, though, is actually special teams. Most people don't look at the box score for special teams, and I get it. It's not the cute thing to see. It's not the cute thing to pay attention to, but the numbers don't lie in special teams, and I think that's really what doomed ECU in this game. Turnovers, but you can't have minus 11 punt return yards. You can't have 4 kickoffs with an average return of 25 yards.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because they was absolutely running that route.
I don't know what we were doing, kicking it to like the 10-yard line.
Right.
But only 1 touchback out of the 4 kickoffs. But I have another issue. It's you can't do the fair catch signal, regardless of which signal it is, and not catch the ball if it doesn't go into the end zone.
Right.
Put your heels on the end line. I would always say put your toes. That way, if you step up at all, like if you want to get a running start, if you see a hole somewhere, okay. But come on now. Why are we standing at the 5 saying, no, we're not going to return it? Ball bounces at the 1 and it bounces back inside.
And then you're screwed.
I believe this is the second time that we've done this. I believe we did this against Coastal, if I'm not mistaken. I think I remember there was a situation very similar. But come on, guys. Come on. Like this feels like day one stuff. It's the fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, that
when you talk about fundamentals and the 6 or 7 false starts we had in this game,
4 of which came by wide receivers on the same drive. What are we doing?
That's Pop Warner stuff. That's
EA Sports, you're in the game. Get your head in the game.
We're talking fundamental 5, 6, 7 years old. You can't have that many false starts in a football game. Not at this level. Not at this level.
It seemed like, okay, yeah, you get a first down. All right, we're ready to go. And then wide receiver flinches. Okay, walk it back 5 yards. And now you're just in a hole once again against a top 15 defense in the country. I don't know.
No, look, you don't take anything away from BYU. BYU executed when they needed to execute.
Yeah.
They had the better
They took
game.
advantage.
They executed what they needed to do. But to say that we did not give them multiple upon multiple opportunities, to say that we didn't just shoot ourselves in the face Saturday night will be an understatement.
I did just want to add a note on the penalties, though. BYU had 10 penalties for 101 yards. ECU, while we had 11, only cost us 76 yards.
It was a sloppy game. It was a sloppy game on both sides.
It was like, can we? I was beginning to think that we were going to see the most penalty flags without seeing a brawl in any college football game ever.
It was a mess. It was
you couldn't wipe your nose and not get flagged. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It was a disgusting game from with 3 minutes left in the first half. From there on, the entire game was just absolutely disgusting to watch, to be a part of. It felt like there was no real flow to the game for ECU. They couldn't ever get into a rhythm on offense. And Coach Harrell said it best. It seemed like every single guy was going out there and trying to
make a play,
force a play.
Yep.
I do want to say, like, I'm glad to know that pick six wasn't a design pass play. But you're a quarterback, you're a junior quarterback. You gotta know better than to throw the ball there on your 1 yard line. It's an RPO, hand it off, let your running back try to get a yard or two, and then knee it. Let's take it into half.
Again, you've got to have the mindset of, okay, even if we go in 8-3, I'm taking 8-3 over 13-3. That's still a one possession game. So putting the ball in the air there really made no sense to me at all.
It didn't make any sense at all. And I mean, we talk about the stories of the game. Josh, I would agree, like special teams. And that's we started the game well on special teams with a 52-yard return?
Yeah.
On the opening kickoff. And then from there it went downhill. I don't know. Lots of mental errors that you have to clean up, and you got to clean them up quick. You got Army coming in this week, and that's a school that a lot of times they don't make a lot of mental errors. They're locked in. I mean, it's in their blood, right? It's part of being in the military, part of going to one of the service academies. You're locked in. You're going into a war. You're going into a fight right there for 60 minutes. You're locked in. And so ECU has to lock in. They can't force things.
Right.
You just can't force things. Play loose. When ECU plays loose, and to use a term from last year, when you play with house money, that's when good things happen. ECU needs to get back to that. They were doing it the previous 2 weeks. I think the moment got too big for them. Just going to say that.
There's no excuse because you're at home. You know, if the moment's going to get too big for you, be on the road. Be at Brigham Young. Don't be in the confines of Dowdy Ficklin and let the moment be too big for you.
But I'm saying all the pomp and circumstance around this game.
Yeah, but
BYU fans. We've played in 2 Super Bowls this year. It's crazy. Best team in the history of football, I guess, playing 2 Super Bowls in 4 games. And
this is big boy football. I don't buy into the moment too big for you stuff. Come on now.
But it felt like every player felt the pressure. Now, a guy that it didn't feel that way. I mean, Brock Spalding is coming into his own and is solidifying himself as a true threat in this wide receiver room. That catch he made along the sideline where he tipped it back to himself, A1.
Also, if we're going to be talking about the wide receiver room, talk about the quietest 9-catch, 146 yards you've ever seen in your life from
Yannick.
Just the quietest 146 night you'll ever see. Couldn't do nothing with Yannick on Saturday night. Too bad it didn't result in anything positive for us.
Josh.
I do want to say that if I can notice this from the sideline, I'm sure coaches can notice it on the iPad.
I know what you're about to say.
Stop lining up Anthony Smith alone on the high side of the field. Like, when you put Yannick over there, that's when the production started happening. When he was over there on the clogged side, that's when he wasn't completing those catches on the boundary. And that's okay. Make sure that he has some time and space on his own, because I think he can be a playmaker even better in that single side. And Anthony Smith, with his speed, can make anything happen. Still down the sideline over there or on any kind of crossing route breaking through, because that outside corner is going to get lost in that mesh. Like, I'm not sure why the play designs weren't beneficial to that. Like, that's just, I don't know. Maybe I don't know ball. Maybe I don't know.
Anthony has some critical drops too. That he would have had a more productive night had he not had those 2 or 3 critical drops. So,
I mean, there's the one where he was opening the flat wide open, and they threw it to him, hit him in the hands.
I mean, and we're talking about plays that are at least the first down.
I could have caught that.
We're not talking about little short screen routes, little dig routes. We're talking about plays that would have at least resulted in the first down.
And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to give anything away. And I'm sure Army sees it on film. Kane Hauser, his first read is always to a certain side. And somebody that I think going into last week, his time to get the ball out, he had like one of the best times to get the ball out of his hands in the country going into last week. It was less than 2 seconds from the time that they snapped the ball to the time he was starting to throw. And if he's doing that, that means he's usually going off his first or second read.
Yeah.
There were so many times if he would have held it for just a second and finished making that read, he had Yannick Smith or Brock Spalding, even Desirio Riles downfield, wide open. So many times, but that's your last read. When looking that way, that was his last read every single time. So, not Caden Hauser's finest night. We're about to throw it to our Army preview here in a minute, but any final thoughts? I just want to watch this one. I'm tired of thinking about it. Somebody asked me about it yesterday. I told them I didn't want to talk about it. Any final thoughts? Thoughts on fireworks, the flyover, anything else?
Man, that was
sick.
That was awesome. That was to go to it. The irony of it is to go to Coastal the week before, and for us to be having that conversation of, hey, like ECU's got to be able to do some stuff like this, the fireworks and the theatrics, and come on, we're East Carolina, we got the money to do some stuff like this, and then they do it the very next week, and that was absolutely awesome. I just hate the game couldn't live up to the intro, because the intro was some otherworldly stuff, and then just flush it. I think Coach Harrell said it best. I think, Caden Hauser said it best in the presser. They don't have enough time to really, lick their wounds and soak. You got Army coming in Thursday night. Flush it, move on. Let's get ready.
I'll say, and you see this often when you go to these post-game media avails and whatnot. When you go to a loss, You can tell a lot about a team and a lot about a player by the way that they carry themselves after a loss. Yes, they were down, but they seemed pissed off. At least in my opinion.
Especially Kate.
Caton came in and
which I want to see that from my QB1.
He had some fire.
I want to see that anger. Like, you know what? This ain't happening again. To help that.
Now we turn our sights to Army. This week we got James coming in from the Brigade Review. James, welcome to the Boneyard podcast, my friend. Nice to have you back on, man.
Hey.
Before we go too far, last year after we got off, you and I talked for
not just after the podcast ended, but for back and forth for months.
Yeah, I mean we've stayed in touch. That easily becoming one of my favorite guests.
Well, that speaks more poorly about your guest list than you think.
No, I mean you and I we talked for, it feels like 2 or 3 hours, honestly.
Yeah, it was
after we stopped recording.
I remember because I had to go. I was like, "Hey, fellas, I got."
We were 45 minutes in, and Artie was like, "I got to dip." He's like, "It's midnight."
No, it's funny. So last year, obviously, there was with the year that Army had, there was a lot of not just interest to have people on from other American schools, but national interest, so on and so forth. So I got a lot of requests to sort of come on, and I couldn't tell you the name. I mean, there were gracious hosts, and I'm thankful they asked me on and everything, but I don't remember the names of any of them at all. But I thoroughly remember and enjoyed my time on the Boneyard podcast. So thanks for having me back.
Yeah, James. Well, welcome back. You talk about last year, this Army team, and I mean, you lose some key pieces. It's kind of one of those rebuilding years that you go through at these service academies, but it also feels like the rebuild is not going to be that long. It feels like y'all still got some momentum coming in from last year. Give me kind of the vibe. It's not 2024 Army. Give me the vibe around 2025 Army.
Certainly not. You lose. I don't want to say it's hard to judge how good quarterbacks are compared to each other outside of an individual year, especially at service academies where you run an option offense where the rules are changing about cut blocking all the time. And so it's hard to compare a quarterback from 2015 to a quarterback from now. They operated differently. But I would say that Bryson Daly was clearly the most dominant quarterback that we've had. And that's a credit to Bryson Daly. That's a credit to the offensive line last year that won the Joe Moore Award, which is insane. Beat, I think, Oregon and Georgia were other finalists for that thing. You have, he wins more games than any other Army quarterback. Granted, they won national championships by playing 9 games back in the day, but he was certainly dominant. And you lose a key piece, and that's hard to replace, especially when they sort of designed that offense. That was a kind of a novel offense for Army, the way they ran it. You run it that way because you have a quarterback that's 220, 225 pounds, and then he leaves, and you don't have that to replace him. So you have to make some changes. You lose a few other key pieces on the offensive line. So they lose 3 of their 5 linemen. They lost a running back, the top running back, to the transfer portal, the fullback. They did lose their top wide receiver, but they seem to have replaced him fairly well. And then they have their what we call the slot back, which is the pitch guy who also ends up receiving a decent amount. He did return. I've been surprised at how quickly the offense has started to look better. There are certainly some issues with the offense, but they sort of looked completely lost in game 1, and they look much better now. And then on the defensive side, it's a little bit of the opposite. You expected them to be a little bit better out of the gate because they didn't lose as much, and they've had a harder time coming back. And I think there's some reasons for that isn't necessarily their fault. The offense isn't controlling the ball for 40 minutes a game like they did last year. And so it's harder to play defense when you're playing an extra 10 minutes of football and the other team is warm and ready. So it's a little bit of a complementary football issue there. I don't want to sugarcoat some of the losses that Army's had, but at the same time, I think they're in a much better position to compete now than I would have thought after week one.
Kind of going off of that, right? Like the ebb and flows of the beginning of this season, right? Like you lose to Charleston State at home, then you go on the road, beat Kansas State in their building, and then you lose a heartbreaker when you were down a bunch of points. You come back, you lose in overtime to North Texas. What kind of Army team are we getting going forward? What do you think this Army team is?
So there's a few different reasons for that. Number one, the offensive line has made drastic improvements. That's been the biggest improvement so far. The offensive line just got straight up beat by an FCS team in week one. Now, granted, Tarleton State is not your run-of-the-mill FCS team. I think Tarleton State could go 500 in the American Conference. They'd at least be competitive in most of their games. So I don't want to completely dismiss that as just a crappy team. They were not. But the offensive line was just getting beat. And the last 2 weeks, the offensive line has looked really good. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I think that when you replace 60% of your offensive line, it takes some time to get right. And they're slowly getting right through some in-game practice. And number two, I think defenses sort of don't know what to expect. So I told you a little bit about how Bryson Daly, the offense that he ran, was very different in some ways than the normal triple option offense that Army had been running for years. We have two quarterbacks right now, so I'll give you a little bit more of a backstory. We had a sophomore quarterback who was the likely starter for week one. He got hurt with a few weeks to go before the first game of the season. So now you either go to last year's backup, who's now a senior, or you go to the last year's third string, who's now a junior. And they went with the senior game one. He got hurt. The junior looked kind of good. They went with the junior game two. And then in game three, the junior had 3 turnovers and then they went back to the senior. The junior looks very much like Bryson Daly. And I don't want to say he looks like Bryson Daly so much as the offense looks like the offense when Bryson Daly is the quarterback.
Right.
Dwayne Coleman, the senior, that offense, I think, looks a lot more like what would have been expected in the pre-Bryson Daly era. So you're seeing a slippery, an agile, slippery quarterback between the tackles, turning 2 yards into 7, a decent percentage of the time, trying to get to the perimeter, all those sorts of things. That wasn't really what Bryson Daly, not that he couldn't do that, but that wasn't what he did. We were doing our podcast earlier today, and I joked that when before Daly and with Dwayne Coleman, they'd take the snap on a 4th and short or on a 3rd and short, and he'd immediately hit the line and try to pick up that yardage, which is how Army's always been. But when Bryson Daly would take the snap, he would sit there, he'd let the blocks happen, he'd stand there, he'd let it develop, he'd look for a hole, he'd order dinner, and then he'd pick where he was going to go, and he'd pick up 7 yards because he was a 225-pound quarterback. And good luck if you're a linebacker. You just got hit by what became the best offensive line in the country, and now you're getting hit with a fullback hitting a hole, and then you're getting hit with a second fullback that we call a quarterback behind him. So very different. And I think Kansas State, to an extent, was caught off guard, thinking that the game plan was going to look a lot closer to game one, and it didn't. And then on the flip side, it worked against North Texas when they brought Dwayne Coleman back in because they were expecting the backup, and eventually they got the starter, and Army's offense started to work very well after that. So I think that has something to do with it. I think the offensive line becoming more in tune with itself and with each other. has had something to do with it. But it's hard to say. Like, we don't know who the starter is. They say both are available, even though Coleman got hurt again at the end of game 3. They say it was just a calf cramp and he'll be fine. So I don't know who's going to start. I'm not even sure if the coaching staff knows who's going to start on Thursday. So I think there's, unfortunately, if you're an ECU fan, a couple of offensive play styles to prepare for.
Yeah.
And it's always tough doing that when it's it's tough doing that anytime you play Army or Navy, and much more so when you get 4 days to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you talk about Dwayne Coleman, and we talk about Bryson Daly last year. That was kind of the thing. Like, he would hit these little pop throws over the top, right? That's kind of what Army's been known for when they do throw the ball. These little pop throws.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same kind of style that, like, when they do throw the ball? I mean, Army's thrown it 42 times this year, and that matches, Caden Hauser's pass attempts from last game. Is that the style of throws that we're making here?
Yeah. So generally speaking, that's how Army operates, and Bryson Daly was no different in that. There might have been some nuances in how receivers got open and where they got open as compared to years prior, but generally speaking, that's how it works. They have tried with Dwayne Coleman. Dwayne Coleman has a very good arm. He also threw 2 interceptions to Tarleton State while up 7 points. So, a great arm is only as good as the amount of times you throw an interception. So, it's sort of a blessing and a curse. But Dwayne Coleman has perhaps one of the, I would say, Dwayne Coleman in terms of talent is perhaps the best passer of the Monken era. He hasn't proven it yet necessarily in the field, but they talk about him like that. He's a very good passer. And so they've tried a few more things with him. Again, sometimes it looks really good and he ends up throwing a long, decently long touchdown pass in the last game. But he also throws some interceptions. So it sort of remains to be seen. It's going to be a misdirection. It's always going to be a play action. Only if you're behind in the game are you ever going to see an Army quarterback line up, in the spread 6 yards back and throw the ball. And even then they might run it. So it's always going to be a deception. It's going to be a wide receiver who's blocked the same DB 6 plays in a row. And then on the 7th play, he's going to slip them and end up wide open in the back. There was it was a 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 that Army needed to force overtime. They were down 10 at the time, I believe. And it was a 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And the quarterback went out on a stretch play to the right side and a wide receiver got open behind him and they threw a 50-yard or so touchdown pass. Because nobody was expecting on 4th and 2 for Army to throw period, let alone throw long.
Yep. Now, I do kind of want to switch gears a little bit to the other side of football because I'm very intrigued by Army's secondary against ECU's wide receiver core because we got some guys that can flat out fly and can get to the ball. What do you think Army presents from their secondary that could present some challenges to this wide receiver?
I think I'll start by repeating or quoting what Jeff Monken often says in that it's very rare that Army plays a team that is not more talented than they are. The kids that Army is recruiting are not the kids that are looking at other FBS programs typically. Maybe another MAC school or maybe the other service academies or that. But they're usually deciding between like the Ivies and the service academies and maybe some HBCUs or some power FCS programs, so on and so forth. So our defensive coordinator, Nate Woody, his sort of scheme is called bend, don't break. Now I know that a lot of people use bend, don't break as an attitude, when they get a big stop in the red zone or something like that. For him, it's more of an ideology. It's more of a defensive theory. So he knows ECU's got some ballers in the receiver core. My DBs aren't talented enough to stop them, but they are smart enough to keep them in front of them. So they'll let you take those 8-yard shots. Now, when you get into the red zone, and they don't have to get worried about getting beat deep because there is no deep, they're going to start coming up, and it's going to get a lot harder to make those throws. They're going to defend against the run more. And that's why last year, Army, I don't know if they ended up with the number 1, but it was in the top 3 of red zone defenses in the nation. Part of that was that theory and that ideology. And then another part of that was Army was so good offensively that teams went for it on 4th down in the red zone all the time. But I would expect your wide receivers, I would expect not a lot of deep throws, put it that way. If ECU is throwing the ball deep, as an Army fan, I would be thankful because they're gonna keep this. The safeties are going to be so far back. You won't have seen safeties lining up pre-snap as far back as Armies have, and DBs the same way.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, just looking at it, the one area that ECU is struggled at probably the most this year is running the football. And I mean, you say that, and you got several games where you got over 100 yards rushing as a team, almost 200 yards rushing in 2 of those games. What's this defensive front look like?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest weakness this year for Army. So we lost of the 3 defensive linemen, we lost our nose tackle. 1 D lineman got converted to the nose tackle. Our most talented D lineman from last year got converted to the nose tackle, but he's been hurt. People keep asking when he's coming back, and they keep saying it's day to day, and that's been 3 weeks of that now. So he might be available for East Carolina. I'm not sure. I've sort of not been sure for the entirety of the season, so that could make a difference. It's hard to tell, honestly, how much of Army's defensive front, how they've struggled this year, but it's hard to determine how much of that is injury, how much of that is they're worse than last year, and how much of that is, well, against North Texas, they had, 3 short fields in the first half they had to defend, and North Texas had the time of possession battle won handily in the first half, and they got dog tired. So I'm not sure. It's some combination of that. I don't know what that looks like in terms of how much is each. I do think that their defensive front would be a lot more effective if their offense held the ball more.
Understood. Now, I mean, looking at this game last year, the ECU fans should be thanking Army, even though I think that the decision was made the week before at Charlotte. ECU goes on the road, Mikey Stadium, loses to Army, and then the next day, Mike Houston is relieved of his duties. Talk to me, like, in the last year, like the offense on ECU is really, like, kind of exploded, and I think we're seeing a tale of 2 reverse teams from last year. Just talk to me about that. Talk to me about, like, the vision for Army football for this year, and or how are we feeling?
Yeah. So first of all, I believe that the Army game was the game where they finally benched whoever your starting quarterback was last year, and then Caton Hauser came in the second half. And Caton Hauser, now granted, Army at this point was up 30-something to nothing, and had had their backups in on defense, but Caton Hauser had no problem picking it apart in the second half. I mean, he scored 28 points. He threw an interception, but he had 3 touchdowns. He was, he had a good, a really good breakout game for ECU. So it's not like East Carolina had a bad game. It seemed like they started the wrong guy, and it seems like their defense didn't have an answer for Bryson Daly, which, by the way, really nobody did. He finished like 6th in Heisman voting. Good luck with that, right? When I think of what predicts success in conferences like the American, the biggest thing is continuity of coaching and returning starting quarterbacks. The American Conference gets rated constantly. I mean, I don't know how many American coaches are in their first year this year. It's probably 5
6 or
7.
6.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I would call this ACU his head coach's first year, right? But not really, right? He's been with the program. He coached half the year last year. He has a returning starting quarterback. When I think of programs that are set up for success in the American this year, there are 2 that come to mind in terms of returning coaches. And I'm not going to include – I'm talking about Army opponents. So I'm not including Navy because that's a non-conference game. I'm looking at Army slate. The 2 that stand out at me are North Texas. They don't have a returning quarterback, but they have their quarterback was their backup last year and was in their system. Returning head coach. ECU. Technically, he's still a first full year head coach, but he's effectively returning. Was the quarterback the starter to begin the year last year? No, but he was in the system. He got practice. He did start a lot of games. Those are predictors of success, I think, especially in conference play. And so I think that's why ECU has looked much better in offense this year, at least compared to the beginning of last year. On the flip side, with Army, they lost something like 7 between the transfer portal and graduation. They lost something like 70% of offensive production. Yes, the head coach stays the same, but you lost one of your co-offensive coordinators and offensive line coach. He's now the head coach at Central Michigan. By the way, find another group of 5 program that can send their offensive line coach to go be a head coach at another group of 5 program. That's an incredible feat, right?
Right.
You lose that. You lose a whole bunch of staff members over the season. You lose your quarterback. You lose your best fullback. That's hard. And yes, the head coach remains the same and is going to hopefully for a very long time. But that's a hard thing to replace. And so I think that has something to do with it. You see other schools. Heck, look at South Florida, right? Returning quarterback. They're set up for success. They're not on Army schedule this year, but that's an American team that's set up for success. There are all of these, look at the teams that have been struggling so far. Well, Temple. Okay. Well, new head coach. Rice, new head coach. Not that they haven't had some points of strength, but I think ECU is set up to do fairly well in conference play just because there are so many teams that aren't.
Now, hopefully this doesn't happen. But let's say Army comes out of Greenville with a win Thursday night. What went right Thursday night for Army to come out with a victory?
The biggest thing, and I said this earlier on our podcast too, is I don't think that Army has been beaten so far this year. And what I mean by that is they have 2 games where they had 3 turnovers apiece. If you take those turnovers off the board, they win both of those games. They were both overtime games at home. So I don't think that Army is like this necessarily easily beatable team. They've lost very winnable games because they messed up. It wasn't even the turnovers weren't even like necessarily great plays by the defense or something. Like they were giveaways. So number one, first and foremost, they don't give the ball away. And then number 2, the offensive line continues to develop, and there is a control of the game and the game clock on the Army offensive side that does a couple of things. It keeps their defense rested for a majority of the game, and then it keeps skill players and specifically throwing quarterbacks and wide receivers cold. I think it's really hard. Like when your offense is on the game for 20 minutes of a 60-minute game, and you throw in media timeouts and you throw in halftime and all these things, right? When you do all that, like if you're coming out of that after a long break and you're running the football, nobody cares if you're cold. Just start running. You go run onto the field. That's your warm up, right? I think it's really hard for wide receivers and quarterbacks to use their quick twitch muscles to be accurate in how they're performing on the field when they've been on the sideline for 12 minutes, right? I think that's really hard to do. And so I think that if Army can control the clock and control the game in that sense, it makes the type of offense that ECU wants to run much harder to do so.
Love it. Yeah. Hopefully that's not what we're talking about.
I will say, I have not looked myself, but I was told by my co-host on our podcast earlier that it's supposed to be rainy and Dowdy Ficken is a grass field with mud.
Is.
I, as an Army fan, love that for us. If all of a sudden now you can't throw deep because we're defending that way, and a few passes go through hands because it's wet and muddy, and your wide receivers are a half a second slow because their cleats are getting stuck in the mud, and now there's a few passes that are incomplete and a few 3 and outs we can force. Like, that's dream for us. So I would say I'd keep an eye on that. Now, on the flip side, if we can't hold on to the damn football because it's wet, then that'll be good for you. But my point to my co-host today was that if we can't hold on to the football because it's wet, we had no business winning this game anyway.
Yeah, I would think those Army cadets know how to play in the mud a little bit. So
they're taught to crawl through it, although you can't. Unfortunately, the NCAA doesn't allow you to gain yardage just because you're doing an alligator crawl with a football.
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, there's a 15% chance at around kickoff of rain, and it goes up to, by about the fourth quarter, we're looking at a 25% chance of rain.
Gotcha.
Yeah, looking at it, I mean, it's going to be a beautiful night. 80 degrees at kickoff, and then by about the fourth quarter, down in mid 70s. But
yeah, I would just say I think I would keep an eye on the weather. I think that is a good or helpful predictor of how the night might go.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, James, thank you again for joining us on the Boneyard podcast. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate your service to this country. Just want to give you another shout out for that. But go ahead and plug where people can find you and find your content as we get ready for the game Thursday.
First of all, thank you guys for having me. Again, I always have a blast coming on. I gotta get my card punched so that, you know, in a few years I'll get my free jacket or whatever I get.
I'll give you a 20% off promo code at Rowback.
There you go.
You don't need a card.
So I'm part of the As for Football team. It's like As for ASFOR, then football. You can find us at asforfootball.com, on Twitter, Facebook, the whole nine. We generally tweet throughout the game. My personal is at Brigade Review. So you can find me there. My handle's on the video. And then all my stuff links back to As for Football. We got a bunch of guys, Dan, Rob, Omar, and Jordan, over at As for Football, and we love getting to interact with fans. We like to have a good time. So,
any of your guys making the trip down?
I don't know. We do have one guy who lives in North Carolina, although he's on vacation right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he went, but I'm not sure if he's going.
All right. Well, if he does, let us know, and we'll hook up with him.
Yeah.
And cool. Well, James, appreciate it. I won't keep you up till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I have an extra kid now, so I have a few more duties, unfortunately.
Yeah. God bless you. And once again, thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on, and thank you for your service. We
appreciate you guys having me, and let's keep in touch, boys.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Once again, that was James from As for Football at Brigade Review. Artie, how we feeling, man?
You know,
I hate these games.
I gotta call a spade a spade. Anytime we see Army or Navy, I hate these games.
I hate these games.
I'm not gonna be as nervous to play Tulane or Memphis as I am to play Army or Navy. These are the games, because usually these are the games kind of make or break an ECU season too, right? Because you kind of need these games. Like, this is a game we gotta have. We're 2-2. We gotta win this game. This is a must win for ECU. We can't fall to 2-3. Going into the stretch that we're going into. So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little nervous. I'm optimistic because I know the team that we have, I know the players that we have, I know the coaching staff that we have. I know we can pull this together. But man, Army off a short week.
Yeah. I think, and here's what I'll say. Going back 2 weeks ago, and I know it's different. I know Army is a different team than Coastal, but the entire time, what did we say? We said ECU's the more talented, faster, bigger, better team on this field. And they went out and proved it in all facets of the game. They did that when they played Campbell. Your 2 losses are to a top 25 team, and honestly, probably a top 30 team right now in the country. This team should be fine, but we'll just have to see, and we'll see it 7:30. Get your ass to Dowdy Ficklin Stadium.
Well,
and when you get there, stay for the entire damn thing.
People are going to show up and then leave 2 minutes after kickoff.
There's not enough offense. Throw the damn ball. Come on, people. Should we do walk the plank? Should we go ahead and just get to it?
We can do walk the plank early if you want to do it before gambling corner.
Don't we usually?
Yeah, actually, I think we do. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Artie, we've been doing this podcast for 5 years, and
no, honestly, I mean, yeah,
it flips.
We usually do walk the plank last. We usually do walk the plank last. To my credit, these are the last thing we did.
I think during football season we usually do it.
Go ahead.
We do it. I mean, mine. I'm talking as somebody that has sat through games and somebody that has seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows of East Carolina football. Somebody that has never left a game early. Ever. I think back to that. I think back to the UCF game, and I know we don't like to bring this game up. The Hail Mary game. ECU was down big. Came storming back in the second half. And yes, they lost on the Hail Mary, but they came back and had a chance to win. And had it not been for Lincoln Riley and some poor time management, they likely win that football game. You can't say, oh, I'm not liking what I see on the field, and just leave. Look, when I say loyal and bold, I fucking mean it. I mean it. Be loyal. If not, you're no better than those fans in Chapel Hill. And you make it look like everything that everybody says about the ECU fans that wear Carolina blue during basketball season. And I'm sure people are probably going to start dropping off the stream. I'm sure people will unfollow us for saying this, but be better. You're down 10 going into halftime. Granted, that was I said it multiple times Saturday night. I've said it Sunday. I've said it today. I've said it on this podcast. That was the worst 3-minute stretch of football that I have watched in quite some time.
In a long time.
Then I turned right around and watched the Falcons do basically the same thing all day long on Sunday.
Much worse. Falcons did much worse than what ECU did.
But that 3 minutes, outside of that 3 minutes, that was a competitive football game. Outside of 3 minutes, it was a competitive football game.
Look,
When you look at the stats, it was a competitive football game. You look at the scoreboard, it wasn't. I need you to keep your ass in the seats, stand up, and be loud. This team, you could feel, even in the press box, you could feel the energy just suck out of Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium as I watched 50% of the student body or 50% of the student section leave at halftime.
when you just walk people walking down thousands of
And you know they're not, once they go down, they're not coming back up.
not coming back. They're not coming back.
Be better.
Something to your psyche.
Be better. And the coaching staff and the players, they're going to say the right things. Oh, we appreciate Pirate Nation. We appreciate. I don't appreciate that. Support your team. It's 10 points. Now, if we were down 30 points at halftime, I get it. But after watching a very competitive half of football, one where you almost set the record for most consecutive quarters without giving up a touchdown, to watch a competitive half and then to leave because you didn't like 3 minutes of the game? No. No. That's weak. Be loyal. That's all I'm asking. Show some loyalty to this team. And I said it to you, Artie, as we were walking out. We talk about being big-time football. We talk about being the big-time football program in the G6, whatever you want to call it now. That entrance was big-time football, right? That first half, the majority of it was big-time football. Hard-nosed football. You think big-time football programs, the student body's leaving in the second half because they're down 10 at halftime? No. Have a little faith. If you left the game Saturday, you can walk the damn plank. That's all I'm going to say.
Caveat. Fourth quarter, I get it. I get fourth quarter.
No, fuck you.
No.
If you leave the game, fuck you.
No. I'm not with Jared on that. Fourth quarter.
You don't have to be. I'm telling you, that's how I feel about you.
I'm with the halftime thing. Because we talked about that. 13-3. If you're leaving a 10-point game at halftime, why did you come to the game? I don't understand why you actually
Just stay in the parking lot and drink.
Come to the game. You just want to drink and party, so go drink and party. Don't come to the game if you're gonna leave a 10-point game at halftime.
They come, Artie, so that they can post on their Instagram story that they were there, and then they fucking leave.
Now, after 3.5 quarters of us not doing dog shit and making mistake after mistake, and then after that 41-yard Moses parted the Red Seas run up the middle for a touchdown, yes, leave the game. I'm done. I'm out. I've seen enough. I'm not watching any more of this. I'm not going to sit here and watch ECU call 2 timeouts with a minute left for no damn reason and watch BYU call another timeout for no damn reason. I'm out. I'm leaving. But leaving at halftime, yeah, no.
Josh, anything you would like to add? Any walk the planks that you have?
Yeah, I sent it on the Twittergrams. I don't know what it. I don't even know what teams it was. Whoever that was that launched itself into the air.
Oh, that was Pitt Boston College.
Pitt Boston College. You're right. Pitt Boston College. Boston College DB. Like, be a missile, but dog, not that kind of missile.
Like you see that, and you compare it. You compare it to Tegan Wilkes' targeting call. And you're like, bro, this isn't even the same in the same stratosphere.
They have the same factors, but one of them is obviously different than the other. And I just wish that, and like the thing is that okay, I get it. You don't want to have subjective calls to where it can be opinionated as to if this is bad enough to warrant. I get that. But like maybe you should have like a 2 out of 3 rule where like if it's two of the issues of targeting, but not all 3 of the rules out of targeting, it's a little bit lesser of a penalty. Still 15 yards, maybe sit out for two quarters instead of a whole game or the next game. Something just alter the rules a little bit, because that's crazy. That was crazy.
I mean, you see some targeting. You see some targeting, and you're like, okay, yeah, that was targeting. You see others, and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? And the fact that the flag wasn't even thrown on Tegan Wilkes, there was no flag there. So it was called down from the review booth. That's BS.
The American said, "Hey, let's screw ECU real quick. Hold on. Let's find the button.
All right. Like old dude from Boston College was like tired of playing though. Like it looked like one of those where, like, I don't want to be in the game anymore. I'm just gonna do this to get me out the game. Like that's what it looked like.
Legit.
There's no way you consciously do that.
Not in the year 2025. Not in the year 2025.
Oh well. Gambling corner.
All right, here we go, fellas. So we've got Tulane versus Tulsa as game number 1. I think this is a pretty wild matchup. Tulsa and Tulane both have P4 victories. So but Tulane is minus 700 on the road, 14.5 point favorite. Tulsa is plus 500 outright, and the over-under is set at 53. Not sure how I feel about that 53.5, but what do you guys think about this one?
This is at Tulsa. Weird shit happens at Tulsa. Give me Tulane money line. I really want to take Tulane to cover, but I don't like that 14.5. Tulane money line. I'll take Tulsa. I really want to take Tulsa to cover. At home, being a 14.5 point dog, coming off a victory over a P4 team. I'm going to take Tulsa to cover. And then that over-under, I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. I'm going to actually take the over.
Yeah, this is a Tulane get-right game for sure. John Summerall's going to have them boys ready. They're not losing this game to Tulsa. I will have Tulsa covered. I do think they cover. And give me the over.
All right. I'm going to have to go with Tulane winning outright, but I do think that they also cover the 14.5.
With me shot.
I think that this is.
I think it's going to be close.
Honestly, I watched that Tulsa game. It was field goal after field goal after field goal. It's not like they were putting up 7. Right. It's not like they were putting up 7 every time. So I just don't think that they keep up with Tulane in this one. The over-under is really where it gets scary, though. 53.5. 53.5. I'm going to go over just because I think Tulane really puts it on. I really do.
Yeah, I could see this game being Tulane minus 17, but I also could see it being like Tulane minus 14.
Yep.
Yeah. Next up on the list, we have Duke, who is coming off of a huge in-state win is minus 205 outright, 5.5-point favorite on the road to Syracuse, who is also coming off of a very big win. So to be a home dog plus 5.5, plus 170 outright, and the over-under 65.5. I'll go ahead and take this one first and just let you know I'm rolling with the dogs of Syracuse and Fran Brown. I think they get it done unless Angeli's not playing. If Angeli's out, I'm not sure what his status is. I don't know.
He got hurt in that game, didn't he?
I think so. So if he's out, then forget everything I said here. It was all a dream. Syracuse wins, covers, and the over.
I want to say Syracuse's quarterback is out for the season.
Oh, he is?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he suffered a pretty serious injury.
I didn't watch it after the delay. So
I saw Fran Brown giving him a hug and saying, "I love you, man."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's out for the season.
Scratch that. Scratch everything I said. Duke cover under. Duke cover under.
Yeah, and Jelly out for the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Duke cover under.
Yeah, with their starting quarterback, Syracuse wins this game. But without Angeli, yeah, this is a toss-up. Even though Fran Brown is probably my favorite coach of football right now, I just like the way he does things at Syracuse. I really do. Like his attitude, like his personality. I am rooting for a Syracuse victory. I think Duke's going to get it done. So give me Duke. Give me the under. Yeah.
Cover?
Duke covers.
Yeah. Duke covers. That's a lot of points to score. I'm taking the under.
Is that a lock? I think that's a lock right there.
I think so.
I think that's a lock.
After a lot of flip-flopping, that's a lock.
Our national game this week is a big one that doesn't feel as big, even though it's still kind of big. Number 17, Alabama, goes on the road. They're +3 underdog, +130 outright. At number 5, Georgia Bulldogs, who's only -155 outright. And the over-under is currently set at 52.5. This might be a tough one.
All I'm going to say, if anybody is betting Alabama money line in this game at +130, you need a little bit better odds than that. Like you need more plus money in there to take this bet. No, give me Georgia to win the game, Georgia to cover. On the over under. Give me the over.
And you said Georgia covers.
-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Georgia covers -3. At Georgia, I'm not worried about Alabama. They're not the Alabama of old. They're gonna get. I don't know. I really want to take the under, but I think Georgia might put it to them that badly.
Bulletin board.
I think there's going to be chaos in the SEC this weekend. This is the perfect weekend for chaos in the SEC. There's
Lots of good games.
So many good matchups in the SEC. Georgia is, to me, a suspect. They can get got. This is for Wifey and her family because they roll Tide. I'm going Alabama. I'm going Alabama in Athens, 27-24. So give me the under.
27-24.
27-24 Alabama.
All right. I am going to go Georgia outright. Shenan will shenan again. So Alabama's going to cover somehow a 3-point spread. I just feel it. And that over-under being at 52.5, I don't trust Alabama's offense. But I also don't trust their defense. So maybe one of them shines and we get the over to hit. So that's gonna be what I gotta live with for this week. All right. Last but not least, the ECU Pirates host Army. Army's coming in as a 5.5 point dog as of now. Plus 180 on the outright. ECU is minus 218. The over-under is set at 52.5 as well on this one. I don't think they believe in this.
Not at all.
Do we believe in us?
Does the team believe in itself?
Oh, somebody else take it first.
I mean, I'll lay mine down. If Artie, if you need a couple more seconds.
Considering Josh, I'm still thinking about week 1 where he wouldn't give us anything on his pick.
Okay, all right.
I think you're due.
So, based on the money, based on the history, I'm going to take East Carolina to win the game. I am going to take Army to cover 5.5. And I am also going to take the over. And a little bit of my reason, Coach Harrell, ECU's head coach, was defensive coordinator at Kennesaw State when the current Army defensive coordinator was an assistant. Coach Harrell has been in the triple option system at Lenore Ryan, at the Citadel, and at Kennesaw State.
Josh,
I'm just saying.
I'm going to stop you right there. He's also been running the ECU defense for 5 years, and we only have one win against one of these triple option teams.
Hey. All I'm gonna say is
that's all. No, that's all I got.
I get it. But
he's been to ECU for a long time.
I get it. But this time, it's just a little different.
With a new defensive coordinator. All right. So Army to cover, ECU to win outright, and you said over.
Over.
Okay. If this was, I think I've got the same feeling. I think ECU wins by 3. I really hope it does not come down to a kick. God, I hope it does not come down to a kick. But I feel like it could very well come down to a kick. Army's played close games in every game they've been in this year. I don't expect any different. National television in Dowdy Ficklin. I'm going to take ECU to win outright, Army to cover, and I'm also taking the over here.
This just feels like a get-right game. I like what I saw in Caton Houser's eyes in that presser. I like that. I like how pissed off he looked.
That looked like a man that wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah. Give me the over. I agree with you. Give me East Carolina. ECU covers. 30-24. Victory ECU.
Barely covers.
Barely covers, but they cover.
All right.
All right, fellas.
There you have it. Put your money on ECU. The Boneyard podcast tells you to. We cannot give gambling advice on this podcast.
No.
Please bet responsibly. Put the mortgage on it. I'm kidding.
Don't blame us for anything that you lost.
All right. Good episode, boys. Shout out again, James. Brigade Review. Ask for Football. Welcome. We're ready to welcome Army in to Dowdy Ficklin Stadium one more time. All right. Follow us on social media at Boneyard Podcast on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Hit that notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Whatever. Share it with your friends. Do that. Please do that. If you do, you're a friend of the podcast. And if not, you can walk the damn plank.
Yes, sir.
Leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, what have you. Leave us a review. Tell us you liked it. Tell Artie to walk the plank. Tell me to walk the plank. If you don't like what I said, go ahead and tell me there. We can take criticism. I'm still thinking about the guy that said that I was the most pessimistic person.
Jared's gonna be butthurt about that to the day he dies. To the end of the
It's
time.
not even butthurt at this point, but it is something I keep in my mind when I'm like, am I being too pessimistic?
Every
Josh,
time.
Josh, go back. We need to go back and look at the gambling corner and see my picks for ECU over the last 2 years. I don't think I've ever picked against them.
You've done once or twice, maybe in a lot, at least once, but it
doesn't happen often.
It does not happen often. I've definitely done it more than you for sure.
Yeah, and every time I give you a stink eye for doing it. Leave us a review.
More right than wrong.
And then shop at roback.com. Use Boneyard20 for 20% off your entire order. All right. Anything else? Did I forget anything? We'll see you Thursday night, Pirate Nation. All right, let's get out of here.
We love y'all, Pirate Nation. As always, thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Please wash your hands, wash your butts, stay sanitized. Until Thursday. Deuce.
Go damn Pirates.